fighting in the UFL's Bantamweight Grand Prix semifinals on August 12th in Mesa, Arizona. My guest today is Let's Go, Brandon Lewis. How's it going today, Brandon?
What's going on? I'm doing pretty well today. How you doing, Zach?
Doing great. It's been a long time. I think we went back and forth trying to do this a couple times. You were supposed to debut at UFL 2.
Yep.
You had some opponent issues. They tried saving you on the card, and the commission was like, no, you get to watch the card. But up until now, you are 6-2 in your career. Your only two losses that we talked kind of before hit record have been on the Contender Series. So your only losses were when you were just about there against Mo Miller, who hasn't really done so well after your fight. But then Daniel Marcos, who has been pretty dominant still in the UFC. Coming out of those, was there any experience, like learning experiences coming out of Contender Series that has helped you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so first that first fight with Mo Miller, I've always been, I've always tried to train to be a very well-rounded fighter. And leading up to that camp, I was very confident in my jiu-jitsu. Leading up to that fight, I was like, okay, this guy's a high-level wrestler. This is my thought process beforehand. I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna go to the ground at some point. Let me train my jiu-jitsu. Let me get, feel really sharp there, and I did. And unfortunately, that was not the game plan to go for. I tried submission attempts. You saw it was, I tried. He did really well defending. He had his hips up high. He made sure to do the proper things to defend. But I didn't really expect for him not to advance his position or anything like that. So all his only sole focus was to hold me down and shut down my hips to prevent any submission attempts. And I should have read that as, okay, these attempts are not working. Let me stand up back to my feet. I also, I had the issue in the second round. He threw a nice jab, and I thought I got eye poked, but no, his punch landed perfectly in my eyeball, and it fractured my orbital floor, and I had double vision. So in the entire second round, I wasn't in the fight as much. I was just kind of figuring out what's going on. When I got in the stool going into the third round, I kind of understood, okay, I see double vision. If I close this eye, I see one guy, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna close this eye. I'm down 2 rounds. I'm injured. I'm just gonna try to get after it. And same thing happened. He tried to take me down. I did get back to my feet one time. Again, try to go and try to finish the fight in striking, but he held me down for the rest of the fight, and it was just unfortunate. I think better decision making is what I learned from that. Is okay, if something's not working, don't go for it. There's only 5 minutes to a round, and you could ask some fighters think that 5 minutes feels like an eternity. For me, the fights, when I fight, it flies by really fast. Like, it's not that much time. 15 minutes is not that much time to go and finish somebody. So I have to, okay, if 1 or 2 submission attempts or whatever it may be isn't working, let me hurry up and switch up the game plan mid round, because now I might be down that round, and now, okay, I only have the rest of the round, 2-3 minutes to try to win the round or win the rest of the fight. And you don't want to be fighting into the next round thinking, oh, you're behind, because then you're gonna start going for things that are more desperate and just make worse decisions. So better decision making and training, working, getting back to my feet was something that I really took away from the Mo Miller fight. But Daniel Marcos, there was a lot of changes that we made to our camp. Before at DEFWAR, we didn't have a spot to work any like wall work or like cage work. We're a small team. We didn't have like a cage. We didn't even have like wall mats or anything like that. So we actually move locations. We open up our own spot. Before, we're renting out like a cardio kickboxing gym to do our training at, so now we have our own spot finally. I've been doing a lot of wall work and just kind of getting used to, that different element of fighting is like working against the wall, wrestling up against the wall, things like that as well. And just being aware of certain injuries, how to take care of them. It was unfortunate. In that fight, I broke my fibular head and damaged that nerve that wraps around. So my foot went numb after a couple of those leg kicks, and I was just hobbling at him trying to walk him down. But same thing, better decision making. I've always been kind of a forward pressure kind of guy, and I think I let the pressure of the Contender Series like Dana White's like, oh, you got to put on a good, exciting fight to get in. And I think I put too much pressure on myself to put on a good show and like to swing, to bang and to try to finish this guy rather than just focusing on the win. And I think regardless of how I approach fights, I think it's just instinctual that I want to finish a fight. So I just, I really worked on relaxing, not having to chase somebody down every single second. Like if I'll see an opportunity to finish and it'll come, but not every single second has to be me walking them down and getting hit in the head and walking into punches and things like that. Like I could be more. I'm definitely a smarter fighter than I've showed in my past couple fights, and I think I've shown how tough I was, in my last few fights. But that's not what I'm doing this for. I'm not here to, get CTE. I'm here to showcase my martial arts abilities and then become one of the greatest fighters in the world, and that's my goal. So I need to make sure the hard head stuff is in the back pocket. I know I'm tough, but I don't want to rely on that to win my fights.
And you mentioned about training at DEFWAR. I know currently you're training with the likes of like Max Quinones. Elon Cruz still down there?
He pops in. Yeah, that's not his main camp, but yeah, he'll train with us.
Who else do you train with down there?
So we have a lot of amateur guys. We have a lot of early pros like Tyler Keating, Argenis Castro. He's going to be turning pro this year. Honestly, the I guess you could say the policy at DEFWAR is if you're willing to put in the work and just stay dedicated with that goal in mind, you're welcome. And honestly, I've gotten some of my best training from guys that don't even fight at all. Like one of my best training partners over the past ever since I've been there. I've been with DEFWAR for like 8 years now. One of my best training partners is a guy that's almost 50, and it's just his energy. Like it's the energy and the intensity that matters. Obviously, getting a good high level look is something that's important too, but we have that as well. And again, anything that we need, we'll bring people in or we'll cross train with other people as well. But as far as like the training environment, it's it's intense, and I think that's the biggest thing that I could take away from our camp at DEFWAR is just kind of like that mindset.
And then the next step is you're now in the UFL, United Fighters League. When I think it stands out a little bit, it is a United Fighters League. You get healthcare, life insurance, and for fighting with them, you own shares in the company. It is really based around you guys. Anything else that I'm missing out of those three, or is that like the three selling points that you've been given so far? I know they also offer some.
So I know one thing that it's not advertised as much, but not only do we have shares within the company, we have shares within like other companies that encompass the UFL as well. So F3 Energy is part of that. I think I'm trying to think. I know F3 encompasses that. So even when F3 does well and all that kind of stuff, like that is also within those like shares. I'm trying to think. There's one other company that I, for some reason, I'm blanking on. But yeah, it's not just the UFL, the fighting promotion itself. There's other products. There's other companies that encompass that we could help promote and also own shares of as well. But yeah, health insurance. Shares in the company. I mean, I just really think the Grand Prix kind of tournament style is something that's interesting as well. I've always liked that.
Yeah, it's really reminiscent of the original UFC, even over in Pride. Everyone's starting to kick into it. In the US, Bellator started going back to it because of the Strike Force ones. It's really nice to see. You also you kind of know who you're fighting next. You have an idea of what the next game plan is. I have, with the UFL as well, I have seen people kind of mention it was like now you don't have to comment because I don't know what's allowed to be said and what's not allowed to be said. The contracts are about 2 years long, which it's a contract, doesn't really mean anything. UFC gives you a 4-fight deal, doesn't mean you're fighting 4 fights. But I've started seeing some people who are in the quarterfinals in other weight classes that are now back on the free agency market.
So I don't know about that. That's not my situation, but I have heard them talk about if you're on the contract the UFL, or if let's say you're part of the Grand Prix, or let's say you're just signed. I have heard them say like they give you freedom to like compete as long as it's not within a certain amount of time before your next fight. So if you want to go ahead and do like a grappling, like a Fury grappling or some kind of event outside of like a certain time frame window before your next event with the UFL, like they'll give you the freedom to do so. They're not too strict on that. They're not like locking you down too much. So that's the only thing that I know about that situation.
So basically, you guys are giving it the Francis Ngannou offer, where when you have a fight booked, you have a fight booked. Otherwise, have fun, but you're under.
Stay safe. Yeah, make sure you're good for your next fight. Yeah.
So, I know this will be your first fight, but you've at least been to a card already. How's the experience been with Harrison and the crew?
It's amazing. Honestly, I'm not gonna say that I definitely didn't have low expectations with the show by any means, but I didn't expect the high level of production quality that they had when I was there. The venue looked amazing. Even going back and like watching the streams, like that was amazing. The promotional material that they film and put together is amazing. And actually seeing the team in action too. A lot of people I don't think know this too, but like the UFL's like team size is like pretty small. It's not that many people, and they do an amazing job. And yeah, I remember the first thing that I was talking with like some of the other coaches and people there and fighters there that were like, holy crap, like I've been to some show, like there's regional show level quality, and then there's like, okay, this is like a Bellator quality, like this is really good production quality, and everything ran really smooth. Like yeah, no, so they're doing an amazing job over there in terms of that, for sure.
And then just final question kind of about UFL as a whole. If a company like UFC wanted to sign you, do you have an opt-out in your contract? Is that something that's offered to you as well? Or is it you're in that until that's over, then you can go elsewhere?
That I'm not sure, but I know I have heard them discuss that, and this is like on the HJR podcast. Mm-hmm. They have their own podcast on this, but like that's kind of their goal. They do want to create future champions. Obviously, right, like they recognize that the UFC is like the staple. So currently, so if they could feed people into the UFC, they're happy with that. But eventually they do want to build that brand to where it could be a premier league as well. But they're not, again, a lot of the one thing I feel like it's different from this promotion versus a lot of other promotions. It's like they kind of recognize where they are, but they also have an idea of where they want to be as well. And they're honest with themselves, they're honest with their fighters. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we have in mind. And they really, so far, every step of the way, have been for the fighters, from my experience so far. So
now into the fight, you are in the semifinals. You got a bit of a bye because of opponent issues last time out. All three other members of the semifinals have had a quarterfinal fight.
Yeah.
This time you are with Justin Wetzel, 8-2 prospect. I personally thought he was going to UFC after his Askar win. That didn't happen. Didn't even get a Contender Series fight. And then, I was glad to see that eventually he came here. He does have a 50% finish rate. He's either knocking your ass out or he's going to the decision. That's his fight style. Mm-hmm. What's funny is that's also how his two losses came too. He got annihilated against the cage, and then he got beat by a decision. He's never been submitted. You have a history of submissions throughout your amateur and pro career. Is that something that you're looking to be like the first to submit them, or are you looking just to get to the finals because that just leads to more and more?
So as I was talking to you about before, of like my takeaways from my other fights, like I think I just need to focus on getting the win in the smartest way possible. So I don't want to put in my head a specific way of like how I want to finish him. I mean, I guess finishing him is one thing I guess I do keep in mind. I always want to go for the finish. I do always want a definitive way to win the fight. I don't want to ever have it in the hands of the judges or have people say, oh, no, I think he won the fight. It's like, no, if we're fighting, like there should be a clear, decisive winner of who wins and who loses. So yeah, I do want to finish him. How it's going to happen, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I tag him on the feet and drop him, knock him out. It might be a slow grind to where I TKO him in the second or third round, or I might, end up in a submission opening and catching him that way. Yeah, it's mixed martial arts. There's a bunch of ways it could go down. I'm always going to look to decisively win and finish that fight, though.
And then, of course, the winner of this fight goes and fights the winner of Noon Cosme and Velodia Alves Inan.
Oh yeah, don't look at me. I can't. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce that one either.
I know. I don't think I watched Cosme's fight last time out. I hate to say, but I did watch. I'm gonna just call him Val. I can say Val. His fight, and he was pretty much getting beat for 2 rounds. Like it was about to be a decisive, if the judges were correct, decision, and then he got the knockout win over Phil Caracappa. Going into this fight, do you look at that already, or do you only look at Justin? Because without beating Justin, there is no final.
Yeah, you're right on the second part. I'm taking one fight at a time. Whoever I fight in December is who I have to fight in December. I don't really have any analysis on those guys. I think I watched both their fights one time. I mean, cool. They're in the division. They'll be the next target, but whoever it is. But as far as everything goes, I mean, I'm 9 days out now from Wetzel, so that's all that's on my mind right now.
And then that is August 12th, live on Rumble. There's no like prelims are on one and then the other one. Are they doing the main card? Do you know on Rumble, or are they trying to do the pay-per-view again? I think they did that with like the first one, and it was a fiasco.
Okay, no, I'm not sure. I think the whole event might be free on Rumble if I'm not mistaken. That's what they did for UFL too. So yeah, I hope they keep that, because hey, more viewership. I know it's not no financial incentive for them, but hey, more eyes on the event. So
yeah, I mean, hey, if Rumble wants to pay money for Power Slap, they could pay money for UFL. I mean,
yeah, I wonder if UFL is like the only actual fight promotion that's like solely on Rumble. I'm not sure, but I believe so. I mean, that's a pretty cool marketing tool. Like, hey, it's the only fight promotion that's fully free on Rumble. Like, that's a good little tagline right there. So
yeah, and I mean that F word right there alone is going to have people tune in. People love free. But outside of that, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Sponsors, shout outs, whatever you want to do. Mike's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give a huge shout out to my team, my teammates that have I mean, a lot of my teammates, they got full-time jobs, or they're making ends meet. Their fathers, their husbands, like they've really came together and adjusted with whatever they had to adjust out of the way to really help me prepare for this camp. And I always appreciate their efforts and energy. And it's weird how certain things have been lining up. Like I'll show up to a training session, and it's like just the right people that I need for that session is there. It's all been working out. So huge shout out to my team, my coaches. This is like the most that I've ever trained leading up to a fight. I've been hitting 2-3 sessions a day, every day, leading up to this fight. And yeah, the amount of dedication that my team has had to helping me out prepare for these fights, and just the energy along with it. That's one thing I'm always appreciative for. You'll always hear me shout out DEFWAR every interview, every opportunity that I get, but that's because it's well deserved. Huge shout out to my girlfriend and my mom. They've been huge supporters to me as well. Yeah, they've done a lot. I mean, she's my girlfriend. She's in the middle of like going through med school and her clinical rotations and stuff. We've always been busy on our own separate paths, but whenever we come together, we could support each other whenever we can. And she's been a huge help. My past couple fights. Same thing. My mom. She's always my number one supporter, my number one fan, and she's always asking, "Hey, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you?" And first I'll be stubborn until like, yeah, no, don't worry. I want to be an independent man, all that kind of stuff. But, she's always there to help me out whenever is needed. So huge shout out to my mom as well. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I'm just appreciative for everybody that's come out to support, and put their efforts and energy and believe in my vision. So
August 12th, Rumble free, UFL 3.
Yeah,
one step away from the finals.
You're going to see a finish, definitely. And thank you to you too, Zach. I know you've been keeping in touch with me. I always appreciate your support, and you giving me this platform to speak on. So
awesome. And then you didn't say, so I'll say it. You can follow both of us now on Millions.
Yes.
as well as YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It will all be linked below. And if you liked the interview, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. But more importantly, August 12th, tune in on Rumble. It's free. What do you have to lose? All right.